Normally, I wouldn't make a video breaking down Dead City of all things, but I mean, here I am. I would usually wait till the season was over and I will do a comprehensive I don't care video about The Walking Dead Dead City. But here I am. I just watched the first episode of Dead City, and this show has turned into an absolute fucking joke. We are officially, ladies and gentlemen, into Fear the Walking Dead territory, and the amount of parody that this show has gone to. Let me explain. The episode begins literally right after the last season ended, but Bass Reeves, the black sheriff from New Babylon, is missing. He's gone. No idea where he's at. While the New Babylon people are roaming the streets of New York, just like the end of season 2 had happened, right? Now, Maggie is burying the dead girl, Jenny, from the last season when she passed away or she died and became a zombie. Negan comes up and he's upset that she got buried. And then they have this little back and forth fight where they're yelling at each other. And Maggie pulls up her shirt. And she's like, stab me, stab me, stab me. And it's like so fucking ridiculous and cringe. And Negan's sitting there like, I'm going to stab you. I'm going to do it. And it's just like, what are we doing? We're watching this. It's supposed to be a dramatic scene, but it came off as goofy. And then all of a sudden, two Guatemalan, maybe Puerto Rican, maybe Cuban, I don't know, migrants or something, Luis and Renata show up. That is actually their names. I'm not making that up. They show up and they're like, "We're gonna take you hostage because we saw that your name is Negan." And since your name is Negan, we know that you're with the Croat. And since you're with the Croat, you know where the gas tanks are. We can get the methane tanks. So, all right, so they're about to steal Negan away and get methane tanks. I just got to ask, who are these people? Why should I care? What the fuck are they doing on the screen? And they just take Maggie and Negan while they all banter like it's a Marvel movie. And I'm just like, what's... So now they're making jokes. They're cracking wise. We're having back and forth between Negan and Maggie, making it humorous, making it lighthearted. And I'm just like, didn't this guy kill your husband? Didn't this guy bash Glenn's brains in? Isn't that the whole point of this show, was to see the will they, won't they of Maggie and Negan going at it? But of course, they couldn't have a Maggie spinoff series without Negan because it just would fucking flop. But this one flops, even with Negan. That's the crazy thing. Imagine what a Maggie solo show would look like. Anyway, Herschel shows up out of nowhere on the streets of New York, and then shit explodes. Go into the title card. We find out through the chaos that New Babylon soldiers have been blown the fuck up, and entire of Midtown's been blown up. In the midst of the chaos, all the walkers are going around, and there's a bunch of dust and smoke and everything. The Croat comes out of nowhere, runs into Luis and Renata, and the Croat explains that the explosion came from one of the methane tanks that he had. It fucking blew up. How do we know this? We have no idea. He just fucking blew them up. They had to say it from his mouth instead of showing us that the methane tanks blew up. Probably because they don't get the fucking budget to do that. But we see a flashback of Renata and Luis living with their entire Hispanic family who survived the apocalypse. I was under the impression that the zombie apocalypse had a lack of people. There weren't as many survivors. It was desolate. They have a fucking radio. There's a radio playing Latin music. who's okay, who is transmitting the Latin radio music? Unless they're playing it on some sort of tape or CD or something, who is transmitting that music? Anyway, they're all having this big fiesta. The Croat shows up, does a Negan impression because he's a Negan fanboy. At this point, I've pretty much figured out that the Croat is a Negan simp. So he literally follows the Negan, blueprint of, I'm going to kill one of these people to get them all to fall in line. So he kills one guy who ends up being the father of a pregnant woman's baby that Luis and Renata are trying to save. It went from, hey, we're taking Negan to go and bait the Croat into giving us a methane tank. But now we're doing it to save a baby. I feel like the writers did not have a vision for this, so they were making this shit up as they went along, right? I know that you're supposed to make things up whenever you're being creative, and you're supposed to come up with stuff on the spot, but at least have a vision. At least have a plan. It didn't feel like that. It just felt like they were making shit up as they went. And so there's a little pitfall into this bar, or at least it looked like a Halloween store that had a bar above it, but then a studio apartment above that, where basically Negan and Maggie fell. They were both handcuffed, or they had their hands tied behind their backs. They were fighting walkers and somehow managed to survive, all while cracking jokes and making a bunch of jokes and having laughs. The Croat was bitten through all this, so the Croat is dying, and he wants his final wish to have a legacy where he will teach the people about New York or some shit. I don't know. He wants New York to be a sustainable utopia in the post-apocalypse. He's not going to live to see it, though. He's fucking dying and speaking Croatian, so it fucking doesn't even matter. So Herschel, we find out that Herschel has left the Dama because he finally realized that the Dama was a horrible person and that the Dama wanted him to kill his own mother. And I'm thinking, why are we seeing this now? Literally, we could have had a scene between the Dama and Herschel to explain that, but we didn't get that. All we got was exposition dump by Herschel explaining to Maggie. And so Negan's like, nah, fuck all this. I was actually with Negan on this because while we were getting backstories on Renata and Luis, and Maggie trying to turn a new leaf and be the good guy all of a sudden, and get over her her hatred for Negan, which literally happens overnight. I'm not even shitting you. It happens overnight. Her hatred for Negan goes away the minute she stabs him at the end of season 2. And now she just forgives him, and now she wants to turn a new leaf. All of a sudden, and Negan's like, no, motherfucker, you stabbed me. You fucking stabbed me. Just last night, she gets over it overnight. And while Negan is in the background, he's playing with one of those balls in the cup things. He's just like, nah, man, I'm playing with the ball in the cup. I'm not doing this shit. And that's where I was at, too. And I was laughing my ass off at that scene. But he goes upstairs to the bar to get a drink. We find out there's a guy there named Dillard. I don't know the name of the actor, but he's a good actor. He was in Westworld Season 1. The only good season of Westworld. But he was talking to walkers. Apparently this guy had removed the teeth and removed the fingernails from walkers and pinned them down to a bar stool. How did he do this? Why did he do this? I have no idea, but the dude was sitting there talking to walkers like a psychopath. We find out, okay, he survived since the beginning of the apocalypse, which is a good solid 20 years probably at this point in the timeline. And so Negan's like, okay, how did you survive this long? And the dude's like, oh, I created a food chain. So the dead have maggots. So here we go. Here's one room in the studio apartment upstairs where the dead are being chewed on by the maggots. Okay, the next room, I have a bunch of frogs eating the maggots from the other room. And then he's like, okay, opens up the next room. I have a bunch of turkeys eating the frogs from the previous room. And I used to have a bunch of coyotes in another room, but they got too hard to contain, so I would just go with the turkeys. And I'm sitting there like, you have a fucking zoo in your studio apartment. How are you surviving like this? How the fuck are you doing this alone? It was such a joke. It was such a fucking parody. It was a joke. I'm telling you that the writing for this episode in particular has been abysmal. It was a fucking parody. It was like watching a Wayans Brothers skit, bro. I'm not even joking. And so the collapse of The Walking Dead has been unreal. We are at Fear the Walking Dead territory of dog shit writing. Bass Reeves, the black New Babylon sheriff, he's fucking gone. There's no Bass Reeves in sight, and the Dama doesn't even show up until the end of the episode. She doesn't show up at all. She shows up at the very end to confront two dudes that were at the very beginning of the episode, and she sees that one of them broke their leg, and it has the New Babylon poster with Negan and Maggie's face on it. It was a Most Wanted poster, and she just all of a sudden assumes that these people are associated with New Babylon. It is true that they are, but there's no way she would know that based on the poster. The poster flew away. It could have been from fucking anywhere. How she made that connection? Okay. Anyway, Renata and Luis need to take the tank back to save the baby, where the entire fucking Mexican family is at in a hospital. Meanwhile, Luis, that fucking retard, tries to kill the Croat several times, going, where's the tank? Where's the tank? You know, he can't do anything if you're fucking choking him, stupid. And so the Croat ends up helping them. He leads them to where a spare tank. He said that all the tanks were blown up, But except for one tank that he had in his back pocket somewhere, hidden away. It's like, how fucking convenient. What a fucking plot convenience that was. So they go out into the middle of the street and they go and try and find another tank that the Croat had hidden away. The Croat dies. Negan cries about it. I'm like, dude, why are you crying for this dickhead? All he did was try to copy you, and he gave you more problems than he was worth. So Negan was crying for the Croat. Fucking whatever. Croat's dead. R.I.P. And so then they get the tank, the methane tank. They bring it back to the hospital while what's her name is getting birth or giving birth. And then Luis is like, I have to go find some methane for the tank, or otherwise I can't run. And the pregnant woman's husband, who is Louise and Renata's brother, I don't know how the family dynamics work. We literally just met these people. We just met these characters, and we're treating them like they're supposed to be family. They're not family. Fuck them. And so they held Maggie and Negan at gunpoint on sight on the immediate moment they met them. And so basically, the husband of this woman that was pregnant, who is Louise and Renata's brother, they kept his undead corpse rotting in the hospital and were going to use it as methane. They were going to use his corpse to fuel the methane tank, which is borderline cruelty, if you ask me. I get it's supposed to be a nice little sweet moment where the father is giving his methane body or something for the baby to survive in the incubation chamber. But fuck me, it seems like it was kind of a Lovecraftian body horror moment where the dude had no choice in the matter. And so basically, it's happy ending. The baby survives. Everybody puts on the Latino music all over again. How are they getting the transmission? Where's the transmission coming from on the radio? It's a fucking apocalypse. It's a zombie apocalypse. So how they fucking get this Latino music translate? Oh. Anyway, Renata and Maggie have the same haircut, which means that if they were to smooch each other, their hair would not get in the way, which is what I think what we're going to get to here is Maggie's going to turn into a lesbian and have absolute scissor sex with this new Renata character. And they were batting it off like they had known each other for years. We literally just met them. The entire episode takes place in the span of a day. They're brand new characters. There is no reason to trust these people at all. There is no reason. I don't care if they have a baby. You shouldn't be trusting them at all. If there's any lessons you should have learned from the previous 12 seasons of The Walking Dead and the previous 2 seasons of Dead City, you're not supposed to trust anybody in the apocalypse. What the fuck are we doing? And so they're treating it like it's these are the nice people. These are the good people. Negan goes away and he's like, I'll be around. I'll be around this season. You just call me up whenever you need me. While Negan and Maggie are doing back and forth like brother and sister. They even compared to brother and sister in this episode. How are we getting to a point where Negan can bash in Glenn's brains and Maggie's just like, hey, we can make quips now because I'm happy about it now. Even though for the past 2 seasons of Dead City, she was still seriously struggling with it. Then the episode ends with the Dama, and then we're on for the rest of the season. I don't know if I'm going to make a video like this every single episode. I might if it is as bad as this one. But if not, I'm just going to watch it until the end of the season. And then I'm just going to be like, you know what? This show is fucking dead. It's dead on arrival. It's over. But let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. Fuck The Walking Dead, bro. I'll see y'all in another video. We'll see if I do it weekly. But for now, what a fucking joke.